Is Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum the most powerful woman in the world?
News of President Trump giving Mexico a one-month reprieve from his latest tariffs. But you see right there behind me, we are well into negative territory again.
In 2019, a trade dispute between the United States and Mexico became a high-stakes game of economic brinkmanship, with former President Donald Trump threatening sweeping tariffs that could shake the foundations of North American trade. But Mexico, led by a skilled political figure, fought back with strategy, diplomacy, and leverage. This is the story of Trump's tariff threats, Mexico's counterstrategy, and the future of U.S.-Mexico relations. In the summer of 2019, U.S. President Donald Trump declared that the United States would impose a 25% tariff on all Mexican imports unless Mexico did more to stem the flow of illegal immigration into the U.S. The tariffs would be levied on nearly all goods coming from Mexico, from electronics to produce. This move was designed to pressure Mexico into stronger border control measures. The threat of tariffs sent shockwaves through both the Mexican economy and the global trade markets. But the political backdrop behind these tariffs wasn't just about trade. It was a centerpiece of Trump's America First agenda, a campaign promise to protect American workers and stem the tide of immigration. With the 2020 presidential election on the horizon, Trump's rhetoric had become increasingly focused on immigration. He saw the tariffs as a way to win favor with his base, positioning himself as a protector of American sovereignty. But what Trump didn't anticipate was the massive economic consequences not only for Mexico, but for American industries as well. As Trump's tariff threat loomed, Mexico found its response in the hands of a rising political star, Claudia Sheinbaum. A scientist by training, Sheinbaum had risen through the ranks of Mexico's ruling Morena party and was serving as the mayor of Mexico City. She had the political skill, the intellect, and the backing to be Mexico's key figure in handling this diplomatic crisis. Sheinbaum's popularity wasn't just based on her political connections. She had earned the trust of the Mexican people by focusing on practical, evidence-based solutions to problems like air pollution and public safety. But now, with Trump's tariff threat hanging over the country, she was thrust into the spotlight as the face of Mexico's resistance. Sheinbaum's strategy was clear, measured diplomacy. While others in Mexico might have reacted with angry rhetoric, Sheinbaum remained calm, focused, and pragmatic. She worked behind the scenes, quietly strategizing with Mexico's diplomats and political leaders to navigate the crisis, all while maintaining a united front at home. Her message was simple: Mexico would not be bullied. The national sovereignty and pride of her country were at stake. At the same time, Sheinbaum ensured that her actions would not escalate tensions unnecessarily, focusing instead on diplomatic negotiations. Behind closed doors, Mexican officials worked tirelessly on a counter-strategy. Mexico's response wasn't just limited to diplomacy. They had prepared reciprocal measures, a list of U.S. products that could face retaliatory tariffs, ranging from agricultural products to automotive parts. These were industries that would hit U.S. producers directly, particularly in states that had been key Trump supporters. Mexico's retaliation would hit key sectors of the U.S. economy, particularly agriculture, automotive, and electronics, industries that would not be easily ignored. Mexico's economic clout as a major buyer of U.S. goods meant that any retaliatory measures would inflict significant damage on American businesses. The final turning point came in a phone call between U.S. and Mexican officials. Behind the scenes, tensions ran high. Mexico made it clear that the cost of Trump's tariffs would be mutual, and the U.S. would feel the economic repercussions. The threat of a full-blown trade war was too great, and both sides knew they had to come to an agreement before the situation escalated beyond control. In the end, the tariffs were suspended, but the resolution was temporary. The key deal was that Mexico would take stronger actions to curb illegal immigration, an agreement that allowed both sides to save face. When the tariff suspension was announced, celebrations erupted across Mexico. People saw it as a diplomatic victory. Mexico had stood its ground, and the threat of a crippling trade war had been avoided, at least for now. Claudia Sheinbaum's role in this outcome elevated her political status. The Mexican public praised her for handling the situation with calm and determination. Her approval ratings soared, and she became a symbol of national pride and sovereignty. Her leadership had not only defused a potential crisis, but had also solidified her standing as a key political figure. In the United States, business leaders began to raise alarms. Major U.S. industries, including automakers, agriculture, and electronics, lobbied against Trump's tariff plan. They warned that tariffs would drive up consumer prices, disrupt supply chains, and cost jobs, especially in industries heavily dependent on trade with Mexico. American farmers, in particular, feared the impact on their livelihoods. Mexico is a key market for U.S. agricultural exports, and the tariffs would have been disastrous for many farmers in states like Texas, California, and the Midwest. While Trump's base was enthusiastic about tough actions on immigration, he had to balance their demands with the harsh economic reality of the tariffs. In the end, he found a compromise, suspending the tariffs but claiming victory on immigration. The business backlash, however, was a reminder of the delicate balance Trump had to strike between his political base and economic realities. While the tariff threat may have been suspended, the broader standoff between the U.S. and Mexico is far from over. The possibility of tariffs returning remains real, especially if the political landscape shifts. In the U.S., future administrations might return to protectionist measures as political leverage, particularly if immigration remains a key issue. For Mexico, the future looks uncertain. The country will continue to rely heavily on trade with the U.S., but the looming threat of tariffs has pushed Mexico to diversify its economic relationships. In the coming years, Mexico is likely to strengthen ties with other trading partners, reducing its reliance on the U.S. As for Claudia Sheinbaum, her leadership during this crisis has solidified her place in Mexico's political landscape. With her political momentum growing, she may soon find herself in an even more prominent role, perhaps even as the next president of Mexico. But for now, the question remains, will the tariff threat return, and what will it mean for the future of North American trade? As the U.S.-Mexico relationship continues to evolve, one thing is certain: the fight over tariffs is far from over. The complex interplay of politics, economics, and national pride will shape the future of trade between these two nations, and the world will be watching closely.